startups are a story, it's never about the 100 or 1,000 users that you have in that moment. It's a story about how you're going to change the world, do something at scale. And uh, I and so you need to learn things in order to be able to tell a credible story, and you need to show in that story that something others don't about how users are going to use your product, and um, or the problems that users have that you're going to solve.
Real
And
quick, hey Rowan, can you turn off the screen share so we can see some space?
Oh yeah.
And the reality is we've built a bunch of things, but we can't tell a different story about our users or the problems users have. We can't say, well, we learned that the users have this particular problem and we're uniquely able to solve it in this way. And if that doesn't change, you know, we raised about $1 million, and we'll burn through that $1 million, and we'll have the same story we had on day one, and investors will see that. And those types of situations are very hard to fundraise on.
Okay, and I kind of got the impression when you returned yesterday that you maybe were a little surprised that we didn't have more learnings to share. Would that be fair to say? I mean, is there a sense that we probably should have been further along with the thesis that we were exploring before you left for paternity, or?
um, yeah, I was disappointed. I don't, like, at the end of the day, I wasn't in the office. I was on vacation. So, but to be fair, I mean, it's a slog.
Exactly a vacation, but
What's that?
I said a paternity leave's not exactly a vacation, but
It's a working vacation.
yeah.
It's a slog. I mean, even before the last 2 weeks, I think we've been building product, and we've been kind of thick in building product, and light on putting that product in front of users, and learning. I mean the a common refrain is to sell the thing before you build the thing, and we've done more of the latter: build the thing before we know we can sell it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a kind of ever-present tension of like when is it ready to put in front of users, but also needing that user feedback is essential to validating the product. But obviously we got quite far, but it sounds like we are going to be able to deliver on some of them. At least we have this week's planned, right? What are we going to deliver this week?
Somebody else should answer that.
What
are we going to deliver this week?
I want to deliver my people, which was being hard to deliver as a seed because the issue is reliability. So I don't know if I share this prompt, the person hydrating that prompt, that seed will have my people running. But if I change the seed to say, hey, pull this Docker image and run on that person machine, I know this will work. So it will be much easier and reliable to say, to set the expectation of what that seed needs to do, and know that this will happen. So this is part one. The second is, okay, I'm going to launch this. Will people react, or will anyone find out that I'm launching this? Because I don't think I've ever been able to do a successful launch. So that's the learning I also want to learn. What does it take to, or like try something else? Right now I'm trying with ads. I'm figuring out like, okay, if I run ads to impulse the launching, will this work or not? So 2 things I want to learn.
Great. So you actually are going to be able to deliver and test your launch this week. Lucas, you've been working on something. Are you gonna be able to share something this week too?
Yeah, I think the broad strokes of what we're trying to do this week is like, we've all been kind of working on these really interesting workflows and tools
think-
that have.
Sorry to cut you off, Lucas. This is not about
Yeah.
your answer, Lucas, that you're about to give right now, which I think is going to be interesting to us. But like, I think we should talk about what we're trying to do in a way that the audience, like the audience can understand, which is roughly we've built a lot of stuff. We've got to like Hail Mary pass it in the next couple days, and then determine based on that, what we're doing as a company. Sorry to cut you off. I think the thing you're building is interesting. Lucas is going to launch a Hermes thing and an agent that runs on a Raspberry Pi that doesn't use Hermes or OpenClaw, and also apparently doesn't use like the Claude-P, which for anybody who knows what any of that says, it's like a native Claude agent is like pretty cool. But I think the real answer to your question, Rowan, about the next week is like we're going to be making a lot of Hail Mary passes.
Right.
Can you explain this term for me? Like,
yeah, when you are down by 5 points in American football and you're in the fourth quarter and a touchdown is 6 points and you are at your end zone, so you have the whole field, you might send your team down onto the other side of the field and try to throw the ball to them to get a touchdown. And it's like 90% of the time nothing happens and you lose the game, but 10% of the time you win the game. And it's better than the alternative, which is just try to run the ball or a short pass where you're going to lose the game. It's like the only shot you have to win the game.
So do we have a clear idea of, like, obviously you stand by how cool the products are that we're building. How do we extract value from the release of these tools this week?
Who's that question directed to?
I mean, it's really a brainstorm, I guess, at this point. So anyone who's got an answer.
I think that's the beauty of a Hail Mary pass is you don't really know what you're going to get. Like, I think the hope is that we put some of these ideas that we find interesting out there and see how the community or users react to it. And you can't necessarily plan the next move because you have no idea how people are going to react. You don't know if you're going to, catch the ball at the 10 and go down or go out and still have like a second on the clock. You don't know if you're going to catch it and make it to the end zone. Like, you don't know if you're going to completely fumble it. But I feel like what is important is getting what we're building in whatever form that they're in out in front of people. Because that's just, I think, to where Sam kind of started at the beginning, like we haven't been doing that well. We haven't been sharing, even in progress kind of work. So I think that will be a win to just at least get it in front of people. And then like, we'll get to observe and see what resonates, what doesn't. If there's, like sometimes it's like the smallest little piece that you don't even anticipate out of, like, maybe it's not Hermes, but they love that they can like text their Raspberry Pi or, and that's part of what Lucas is building. And like maybe like we get a lot of fun people like commenting on that like one aspect of it, and it's like, oh, we didn't realize that was going to be like what was going to be a hit. So yeah, I don't know if that fully answers your question, but
I think that provides a really clear, idea of where we can extract value. But what is the format for extracting that feedback that we have? Like, where will we get that? What forum are we gonna create? Is there something in place that will allow us to get some robust answers?
I don't think we have anything. I mean, we don't have anything in place to extract those feedbacks.
I mean, like, I would argue that in a way we do. I think we're planning on some product hunt launches where we're going to put these out there and see how people in that community interact. So I think, like, Daniel, you're running ads, you're trying to reach people. We've been active on Reddit, and we'll see if conversations happen there around it. But like, where I'm kind of hesitating is I question the productivity side of product hunt launches. I think at one point they were really a nice signal, and now there's a lot of stuff on there and it gets busy, and it feels like if you're not the one like paying for upvotes at the very beginning of a day, like, you get lost in it. And so this is just something we've like talked about before. I guess I'm just being candid because we're talking about things. So I wonder, I'm like, so like, we've chosen product hunt. Is this the best way to get the signal we want? I don't know, but it's a way. Curious.
Yeah, we should chat about this briefly, because I don't think what we're looking for is like number one on product hunt, to your point, that we can get that. We got close to that before, Daniel and Mary, you did at least, and we know how to get that. The signal is like users using the product and like seeing their eyes light up and like not going cold on us. I mean, that's what we need right now from anyone. We should use Daniel's audience, the Brazilian audience, to like upvote product hunt first thing in the morning. Like, be clear, I'm not saying we don't do that. Like, so if anybody's watching,
so sharing like a fun comment, like when we stayed quiet for, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds, like at that moment live, there was a message on the group saying, "What the fuck? Why is everyone so quiet?" That was fun. Like there's people like watching and reacting to this like real time. But so there's one thing that Sam shared, like the signal we want is to have users lighting up their eyes when using the thing and not going cold. But for us to be able to do that, we need to ship the product. And then if that's the signal, this means like building the product to get that reaction, which is like the pain we suffer, like doing long cycles to have the thing ready to show them to give this signal to us. So is this the signal we're looking for?
Was that a question?
Mm-hmm.
Or a statement?
That's it. Yeah, a challenge question.
The signal being users like eyes lighting up, walking over broken glass to use the product, kind of thing.
I don't need to keep talking, but I think I have like at least my take on this, Daniel, is that where we've gotten caught up is in the seed convention of like, how do we share it in a very specific way that anyone can download. But I think where we're realizing right now is like, we've had these workflows built. We've been sharing them internally with each other. Like, it may not be a perfect sharing experience and there may be glass on the floor, but it works. And instead of getting feedback at that point to see like, is there any traction in these workflows that we're building before we even get to the point of like the finesse of like the seed and how to share it, like we kind of skipped that step. And so now I feel like this week we're kind of coming back and assessing like, is there even a signal into like, do people even want this? Will this be helpful?
Can I ask, like, and I'm kind of on a rapid learning curve, understanding the product cycle and startups. Sam, you described, selling the product and then building it. Like, how does that usually work?
I mean, there's many different versions of that pattern. So in enterprise sales, there may be an explicit, like, this is the thing you're going to buy, and you will, in the sales contract, you will fund our development of this product, and we will retain ownership of the product, but give you a license to it. Those enterprise sales contracts are always like amazing, where the client, they come with their own risks, which we won't get into, but it's definitely a sign of a hair on fire problem when like a company is willing to pay some no-name team to go fix their problem for them, knowing that they're going to sell it to other people too. In product, often like 404 tests are a version of this pattern. So what that means is 404 is like an HTTP, this page does not exist error code. And so you will have some feature on your site that does not work or does not exist. And then when people click on it, they are just like, hey, this doesn't exist yet, coming soon, or whatever. It's the same premise, right? These are all versions of lean hypothesis testing, but that click is the user spending something, right? They're spending their attention, which is like an extremely valuable signal, is users' attention, right? Like the sign of death is like ambivalence or lack of attention. It's not frustration. Frustration is great. It's ambivalence. Our two plow users are now ambivalent. I can't get them to message us back. The last message I got sent was like last week. So I messaged this guy. A week later, he messages me. And like legit, like ambivalence, right? A week later, he says, haven't really been using Plow much, been knee deep in other stuff. We'll try to dig in more when things ease up. That, I'm telling you, is an effing failure. That is like the death, the sign of death.
Yeah. And how did you get the first?
We spent months building this thing. We
Right.
put our hearts into this. I'm still working on it because I love it so much.
And where did those first?
It's like the opposite. It's like literally build the thing, and then it's like the dude could not be less interested in it. Sorry.
No. So where did you get that test audience? I've seen that there's probably at its height probably 10 active users. Where did those 10 come from? Are they from personal networks?
That came from a Plow launch.
A Plow launch, like
I launched a Plow,
like a product hunt launch. Okay.
Yeah.
We're obviously putting a lot of stock in product hunt as the single.
It's not, but it got like number 15 or whatever on the. It's just literally just trying to get humans to discover your thing and like use your thing, and like. So it's not so much like getting featured on Product Hunt or like, but we got a couple humans willing to. Actually, to our credit, we charged them for it. So that was a good sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with the 5 minutes that we have left, we have a 4-week plan. So what did the next 3 weeks look like?
My understanding is that we're going to build communities do user research and not build products, but like see what is use and test workflows or products that other people built and are working or not working, and become this source of truth to distill noise from what is actually worth using and become the AI worth using sheriffs.
Right, the source of trust. And where will we kind of find these tools that we can test and use? Is there an active methodology for bringing in interesting new tools? Have we thought about that yet?
This stuff is literally everywhere. Like a lot of people that I talk to that aren't technical are using AI in all these great ways. And so it's like, and a lot of them feel like, oh, well, whatever I'm doing is like too bespoke to what I'm doing. Like it's not shareable, or like, it's not going to be helpful for anybody else. But I think that's just one, it's not true. I think people see all these like crazy, I have OpenClaw running as a third, like as a new teammate for me. And they see all this stuff that's like feels so big, and then like, oh, well, I have a little thing that like helps me generate an image, and it makes it feel kind of small and like not as worthwhile. But I think there is a big appetite for stuff that's actually useful, like the image generator thing. That's actually practical and that like people can use. So I'm hoping to find people like that through my network or through Reddit, and try to highlight some of those use cases that people are having success with today.
Got it.
Yeah, I think the issue is not like is not the source, but rather like how do we ship high quality how-tos that become a trusted source for our target audience.
Got it.
Jonathan, you haven't said anything this whole call. I think you should bring us home.
Although his part in the silence was pretty palpable.
Well, I mean, I think that there are questions on. Okay, so my big question is what we're going to launch some things as a Hail Mary, and then we have another idea later. So what happens if this, like, what are the three cases for the launch? One, it goes poorly. What does that look like? Two, what's our expectation that we think it'll do? And three, what's some success that's going to change the direction from what we've been saying the last day? That would be my question.
Yeah, I think that we'll get like mediocre interest from these launches. And so this goes back to like the question you asked yesterday. Like I can't give you a roadmap up front for like this is going to happen. If this happens, then we're going to do this versus it's really about like discovery. It's like you're going, it's like the 1600s or whatever. You're going to a new continent. You don't know where that continent is or what's going to happen once you get there, or like what you're going to find or how that's going to change the plan. But you're headed out, and there may be one comment for one user on one product launch that changes our plan because they reveal an opportunity that we're really interested in, and we end up partnering with them, in a way that tacks our plan into some direction. Maybe we focus on some ICP like accountants or something. There may be one launch that does better where the reaction is noticeably different than the other launches, you know, and there's more engagement in a way that affects our plan. It's like hard to say, but we built it better to put it out there before pivoting, you know. Even if we don't anticipate, like, okay, if this gets more than 500 users, we're going to invest in it. Yeah. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I think, one of the things is, it's, at least for me, like, of course, in any launch, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And I think we all kind of have the expectation of, if we do things in a day, what we get out is probably going to be minimal, but maybe there's something there. I just think I like knowing ahead of time, because sometimes when you get something, it's easy to get swept up or carried away if something goes really well or doesn't go well. And sometimes it's good, I think, to kind of calibrate just ahead of time. That way you know and have that discipline ahead.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this isn't a disappointment, or this is good. This is actually a valuable signal versus this is just one small data point that shouldn't count as a signal.
We are searching in a dark room for a key, and the door is locked, and we don't know if the key is right next to us or on the other side of the room. And so we're all signing up to search. So in some ways, every day is not a disappointment. It's a privilege to work with you all. You all are good people. You're smart. I would learn from you. I admire how you bring yourselves honestly to work, and how I can have real conversations with you all. We spent all this time over the last 6 weeks walking over to this other side of the room, pulling out the couch cushion. And in some ways, it's not so much a day, but it's more like, let's just reach our hands down into this couch, figure out if there's anything there before we go over to another corner of the room. And we'll know on Monday if all we got was a few stale breadcrumbs or something else. But like the expectation that the key is right there is pretty low, it's like, but yeah.
I'll make one last comment, that you still seem really passionate about the Plow app.
Yeah, it's an unsolved problem. It's a real unsolved problem, which is, I want to be able to, I want an agent that works on my Mac, and that I can iMessage, and has access to my life in a way where I trust, like, its privacy and its ability to manage that access. And in fact, I want others to have access to that, right? Like, I want my wife to have access to that. It's a real big unsolved problem. I think the thing that I'm unconvinced by is that we are the right team to solve that problem. And that's not intended to be a knock against us, but, like, candidly, I have a problem, like, not sometimes I overestimate, like, my ability to solve a big unsolved problem. Let me put it that way. Like, we've got to figure out what our niche is, and what our reason to win is, because we're not the only ones who realize this is an unsolved problem.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get a read on what some of the competitor tools out there, like Poke, how they're feeling about where their, adoption is at. I don't know if anyone's been following them, but I did try the app, and I was quite impressed actually by the onboarding experience. It was quite smooth, and certainly, like, the voice that was employed was really cool. It was really hip and really modern, and thought the user experience was really strong. But I haven't taken it as far as wanting to actually pay the money. There was a moment in our conversation, they were like, "Hey, let me clean out your inbox with spam mail," and it took an extraordinary amount of time. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like, well, at least I'm not paying for this. I was kind of having to monitor it for every 20 minutes for like 3 hours. And then finally they're like, hey, we could do more of this for you. What do you think this is worth a month to you? So they did have some kind of revenue model that they were exploring there. It'd be interesting to see, whether they're managing to actually sustain paying users. Maybe that's a piece of homework I can do. But yeah, what I'm saying is there is a signal somewhere, I think, for that that utility that you're describing.
I'm one of their paying users, but I've only kept paying just to keep an eye on what they're doing. I'm following them for like a year.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Oh no, I mean they're doing cool stuff. Like they are. We give them credit for that. I have not found a lot of utility in it, to be honest. But
yeah. Did they have you kind of negotiate the amount that they're like, what is this worth to you? That's a very interesting approach, right? Because I guess if for people who are saving a lot of time that have a high discretionary income, they're probably going to end up paying more. Yeah. But it allows people that maybe don't have much of that income to also participate. And at the end of the day, number of users is obviously really critical. Yeah. Well, interesting that you're not getting too much use out of it anymore. What's the problem? Why are you not using it?
I mean, it just like would tell me what I already knew. It would like tell me 5 minutes after I got like an email confirmation code that an email confirmation code came to my email. I'm like, yeah, I already got it, or like right. Weekly digests or things like, I don't know. It was just like, maybe I just wasn't using it to the fullest of its ability, which is possible. Especially because I was using it in a time where I like didn't have a lot on my calendar and like didn't have a lot going, and I only gave it access to like one email because I didn't really trust it fully. Like, but yeah, it was like giving me like weather updates and like I said, it was telling me whenever I like kept trying to get it to stop, forwarding me email confirmation codes. I was like, I know, I already got it. Stop doing this. And it would stop for like a week and then it would start doing it again. So the most useful thing I did get out of Poke though was I would tell it to remind me to like sign off at a certain time. So I'd like set like a reminder of like, all right, Mary, you need to sign off at this time to get to this thing. And it would send me a text.
Yeah, maybe we need kind of training in how to best utilize these tools, right? Maybe there's just not enough awareness around their capabilities for us to really bring it into usefulness.
I think it depends on, honestly, a huge piece is it depends on where you as a user, your life context is. Like my life context that I need like day-to-day help with is not in my email. It's in my text messages. Maybe it's on my calendar, which it has access to, but like it's on my computer, which is kind of where what we were solving with Plow, to be honest. It's like, yeah, sure, you can like Poke can have your email, like we have your whole life because we're on your Mac that you trust. Like we have access to your iMessages. We have access to, your downloads folder and, whatever you want to give us access to. But,
all right.
Okay.
We're over.
Today.
Enough about Poke. Let's talk about.
I know.
How Plow is gonna.
I love Plow. I have so many automations. I'm with you, Sam. I have so many automations with it, like having my access to my my phone number, my iMessage. I could keep going on. Just do we need a sales Plow?
Sure.
I'm mostly kidding, but it's like I see myself checking out because I'm like, Poke is one of 100 or 1,000 tools, and who knows if it's like how to use it to be successful. And I mean, it's like classic problem. It's like I guarantee you somebody else in this room started to check out as like we started to talk about Poke, right?
Yeah,
which is right. I literally, honestly, I started reading the Wall Street Journal. Like I started like literally reading an article, which I think is a very bad example. But I mean, it's the problem. It's the problem. There's so many AI tools. It's just like your eyes glaze over once you start talking about a new one. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say that we shouldn't have this conversation. Like, this is an important conversation to have. I think, Rowan, you are absolutely right. We need to figure out like where our niche is, and part of that is like the competitive landscape. And Mary, you paying for poke is super important, but it's like I got to do it like I got to eat my vegetables, not like yeah.
All right. Well, we are over time. Perhaps we will continue this conversation tomorrow. I feel like we have a very engaged audience at this point. I hope, at least, that they're with us and rooting for us. But maybe we can come back tomorrow and continue this conversation.
All right. Sounds
That'd be
good.
okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. See you
Take
tomorrow.
care.
Thanks,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.